Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the J Free 906 podcast. Shannon DeSalvo and I here with you tonight.
Hello.
Glad to be back with Shannon again, and our very special guest tonight, Mr. Pete Kelsey. Pete, how you doing, sir?
I'm just so glad to see you two again. It's been too long.
It truly
It is.
has. I know, even with
It has
Shannon, I know
been.
we got a chance to finally talk again for the first time in a while. Just
Yes.
a little bit ago. It was really nice. And then talking with you again. And thank you so much for coming on the show. Both of you. I really do appreciate it very much. And it's
Uh,
always lovely to have Shannon co-hosting with me. So we've got a lot of stuff coming up here in the future. We're gonna have to get some more more insiders to come on the show with us. So
They can hear you. They're
oh, that's
watching.
right. That's right.
right, right. Inner voice, Jeff. Inner voice.
Yeah, in my inner voice. Yes, I got it. So we're gonna be perusing the insiders, so see who we can snatch out of there and bring on the show. Because I do love to do the insider insights, which is where we bring on the insiders and we just have a conversation with you to see what you think about being an insider and all of that. And somebody might be watching right now going, okay, what the heck is an insider? Insider is with Skinwalker Ranch Insiders, and it's a program that they have started. It is a paid program, but it's really, really cool. You get to do so much out there. Um, it's on at skinwalker-ranch.com, and there's a link for it down below if you want to check it out. You've got a free trial period you can check out and all of that. But that's not why we're here tonight. We are here tonight to hear about the adventures of Mr. Pete Kelsey. You've been a busy man lately, have you not?
Yeah. The last couple of months have been busy, much like you, much like Shannon. Yeah.
Mhm. I know
Um,
that one of the things I do follow you on social media, and I've seen every time I turn around, it seemed like you were somewhere else and doing another really cool adventure. I know tonight we're going to kind of talk about Alcatraz.
yeah.
Alcatraz. I mean,
Mm.
wow, what was that all about?
Oh gosh, that
Where do I
that's
begin?
yeah. That's like honestly, it's like uh, fulfillment of a dream. So it's Well, I guess the origin story is I've got a long standing love affair with the national parks.
Mhm.
I've been to most of them. My This goes back to when I was a kid, right? Uh, it was that that image of kids being dragged around in an RV all around the country during summer vacation. That was us. And anyway, that sort of in my professional life, that's led to bringing the things that I know how to do to the parks because one, I care about them.
Mhm.
Two, there's no shortage of amazing content, right? In terms of stories
Mhm.
to be told.
Mhm.
Obviously, well, there's always a bit of adventure because typically it involves getting to go behind the velvet ropes, that kind of thing.
Mhm.
Um, so Alcatraz was um, it started as an idea. Basically, I started pinging people I know about, I want to do another park. I've done work at a bunch of them, at Dinosaur, at Grand Teton, the USS Arizona. There's a lot of them.
Mhm.
And that another part of it was it has to be manageable in size because, right, if as much as I'd love to go 3D model the Grand Canyon, it's just that would take a long time. And
Mm.
not to say it won't happen, but
Mhm.
the point is that Alcatraz, the island is like 23 acres.
Mhm.
So the size was reasonable in terms of me being able to look the Park Service in the eye and say, I've I can do some important work here for you. What are the things that you are interested in? And the first thing they said was, we're really curious about the effects of sea level rise here on this
Oh.
small island and how it puts this national treasure, if you will, this park that everybody's heard of because of movies and etc. How it puts Alcatraz at risk. And I said, oh, that is perfect
Mhm.
because the data can be repurposed for anything, frankly, but including if the data, in this case, the physics, meaning if Park Service, if you have the data for projected sea level rise over the next months, years, decades, centuries,
Mhm.
we can throw that at the model and show you exactly where the risk is. And
Wow.
they went, that's great. That sounds like a good reason to issue the permits. So thus began a 9-month wait
Wow.
for,
Wow.
for two permits. The one was the scientific permit, which actually allows the team and I to be there and to do the work. And then the second one was the drone permit because
Oh, yeah, yeah.
there are no drones allowed in the national parks, which I fully support.
Mhm.
So all you drone operators out there, be advised, fly smart, fly safe. Fines are steep. Um, so, and then we had to wait for the birds to leave because Alcatraz has been a bird sanctuary forever,
Oh,
forever and ever and ever. So we had to wait for the birds to get off the nest and the young ones to fledge. And that wound up, the timeline just happened to be December, which was what, 3.5 months ago.
yeah. Wow.
So it was a long wind up, but now that now that we're really into it, and now the data is beginning to get really interesting, it was absolutely worth it. And so far, the Park Service is happy, and the media has kind of picked up on it, and it's it's just another perfect storm for me. It's an elegant combination of location, an incredible team, and the technology that I'm just nuts about.
Mhm. Yeah.
So you were there for a while. I remember speaking to you while you were there. You stayed overnight, correct? Like you were there for at least a couple of weeks, sleeping there,
Yeah,
is what I
Hey, where
yeah.
were you
remember
We
sleeping
saying.
at, Pete? Where were you sleeping?
You went all in
uh,
on the full experience.
yeah, we to cut to the chase. We spent 3 weeks in cells on Alcatraz,
In
and
December.
in December, and there's so many cool parts about that. Um, and well, I guess I should start with why. Well, it just we had a 3-week time window to do the work, and that's pretty compressed for all the things that I wanted to do, which we can talk about. Um, uh, but logistically, the only way we were going to pay it off was going to be to stay there on the island because you have to take a ferry out, you have to take a ferry back. The first ferry is at 8:30, the last ferry is at 4:30. That's a really short day. I'm used to working 12, 14 hours, from, as the farmers used to say, from can till can't, to when you can see until when you can't.
Mhm.
And anyway, the Park Service said, okay. And yeah, it was so cool. Yeah, we learned, we after we'd been there a while, somebody with the Park Service said, you're the first people who have spent that kind of time here on Alcatraz since the Native American occupation in
Wow.
69, 70.
Wow.
That's what I was reading.
And
The
so
60s, yeah.
the last boat would leave, and it was just the 6 of us on the island
I was gonna
alone.
ask you how many in your team there. Wow. So 6 people, man.
Well, those of us that overnighted, there were,
Yeah.
yeah, 6, something like that. The team in total was like 30 people, but yeah, that was so cool, and they put us in D block. So Alcatraz, of course, is infamous. The prison is known for it's where the worst of the worst prisoners back in the day were
Yep.
sent.
Yep.
And well, the worst of the worst who were on Alcatraz were put in D block. So we were up there on the third tier, right? There's 3 tiers of cells, and we were up on the top tier in D block. And for this rumor started going around that the Birdman of Alcatraz, his entire time on Alcatraz was spent on D block, because all romance aside from movies, this guy was a psychopath and very dangerous, right? He killed a guard in Leavenworth. I mean, that's why he wound up in Alcatraz. Anyway, he was up on the third tier in D block where we were, so we were like, "Oh my God, which one of us is in the Birdman cell?" And we thought it was me for a while, but then actually one of the insiders, Cheryl, leaned in and said, "Birdman was in 41. I was in 31." And I was like, damn, I wanted those bragging rights, but
Oh my gosh, I don't know.
Yeah, it was so cool. I mean, sleeping on Alcatraz, hitting that huge breaker and turning the power off in the whole cell house, and then walking through the cell house to D block, up 3 flights of stairs to the cell. And it was camping. There's no hot water. There's no showers. There's, the restrooms we used were the public restroom. Drinking water was out of a drinking fountain. I mean, so we had to bring all our own food. I mean, and I am not complaining. It was such an amazing experience. And I just happened to be I basically was the project manager, and I was up before anybody else in the morning. So, I'd wake up and it's still dark out, and so I'd tiptoe out of the cells and listening to my guys, just because in the cell house it's all concrete and steel, right? So you hear everything, you know, belching, farting, snoring, talking in their
Delightful.
sleep.
Yep.
When people roll over, I mean, you just hear everything, and it was just so cool. So and I'd walk through the cell house, and I'd have this experience like, I'm the only one here. I'm the only one here. This is unbelievable. And then you'd go outside, and maybe the weather was good. One morning, San Francisco Bay would be completely socked in. Another morning, huge storm, and the wind's blowing 40 miles an hour, and we had to walk from this front door of the cell house to the public restroom, and it's just, anyway, I could go on and on. It was
What was the temperatures
So-
like? Sorry, Shannon.
it
No.
was
I mean,
wasn't
December in San
bad.
Francisco can
It wa-
still be pretty chilly at times, especially out there in the wind.
Yeah, it wasn't. We didn't freeze at night. I mean, we had sleeping bags in our cells, but I can remember being cold and wet more than a few times. That's for sure, because it's San Francisco, right? It rains a lot, and it was December. But it really wasn't too bad. What got us the surprise? Oh my gosh! Sleeping in the cell house the first night, we got eaten alive by bugs,
Really?
which was a total surprise. It's
In
like,
December. Wow.
yeah, December on an island in San Francisco Bay, and the mosquitoes were just ferocious. So,
They were hungry. They've been waiting for people to come stay again.
yeah, wow. Yeah,
Ooh,
we
what
all
bodies?
They would be lying in wait.
donated blood generously that first night.
I'm sure they were happy about it.
Oh my
Oh
gosh.
gosh. So the next
So you
morning,
took-
I get on a ferry and I go into San Francisco, just bites all over me.
You're like, I've been on
And I-
Alcatraz all night.
Yeah.
And I bought every mosquito net at the REI in downtown San Francisco. And, the guy behind the counter's like, what? I got to ask you, what's this about? So I told him, I said, we're sleeping in cells on Alcatraz. He's like, oh, wow. Let me go in the back. I think I have some more in a box. And anyway, we got that
Definitely
net
not
hung
what he
over.
was anticipating. I
Yeah.
would imagine he was
Yeah.
not expecting you to say that.
Yeah, it was just so cool. Anyway, we hung the nets, and then it all became about snoring, but that's another story.
So you did your work there, but did you get any behind the scenes video or pictures of the stuff you're describing to us? Because I can imagine how cool a cell phone video would be as you're turning the.
Let me see.
And while he's bringing that up too, folks, I wanted to let you know we are open for questions. So if you have questions for Pete, feel free. We've got Linda is doing her very best to keep up with the chat in what we call the basement. So she'll be keeping track of those. But yeah, feel free to ask questions as we go along if you have anything you want to find out about his trip.
I'm trying to find some pictures of this, just some of the incredible views. Yeah, here's one. Let me bring this up and then I'll share it here,
All right.
Josh.
Yeah, I can imagine him. You hear you talking about Alcatraz in December and getting eaten up by mosquitoes. I mean, I've been to San Francisco a few times. I know it's pretty itching to get off the island.
Yeah.
Oh, we got a lot of comedians out there. But yeah, but you wouldn't think. I mean, I've been there, and there's can be very, very cold days, especially in December. So that's odd that they would
Yeah.
be so many mosquitoes around. All right, so look at
Oh my
that!
gosh,
Wow,
that's beautiful.
looking right out at the Golden Gate.
Yeah. Yeah. We'd wake up in the
No, that's
morning,
not the
come out.
Golden Gate, is it? No, that's the
Yeah, that's the Bay Bridge.
That's the
That's
Bay
the
Bridge.
Bay Bridge. Yeah. So, any morning we'd wake up and, come out of the cell house, and this is what we'd see with nobody on the island but us. It
Wow.
was it's just so cool. Yeah, and my gosh, I've got a lot of pictures. I'm trying to think in any order. Maybe order doesn't matter.
No, it
Uh,
doesn't.
uh, Gosh, I don't even know where to begin. I have so much stuff.
I would imagine.
Oh, I know. Here we go. Sleeping in cells.
Oh, wow.
Let's show you this one.
You blew me away when you were talking initially about the picture that I used for the thumbnail for tonight's show. Alcatraz, you said billions of LiDAR points, billions, and I'm like, I can't even wrap my brain around that. I mean, how the LiDAR works to make something, billions of points. But we'll get to that. Hey, hey, Burton, how you doing? So we'll have to get to that here in just a little bit. All right, let me bring this one up. Does the island use generators for electricity, or are there still lines
Oh.
from the mainland? That's a good question.
It's actually all solar. So the entire roof of the cell house is solar panels.
Wow, interesting.
Yeah. Now, back in the day, when it was a penitentiary, um, when we get into the data, you'll see the generator house, the powerhouse, where the boilers are for generating electricity and heat back in the day. So if you can see this was my home sweet home.
Wow.
They have it painted quite nicely, but it is
Yeah.
very, very small.
Yeah,
They
yeah, that was something. Gosh, what else? I guess I could just jump right in and show you some.
Yeah.
We might as well show you what this was all
Have you
about.
been in? Someone, Christy's asking, have you been to other federal prisons, and how do they compare if you have?
Ooh, I have not, neither as a guest or as an inmate. Um,
Thank you for clarifying,
uh,
Pete. We appreciate
Yeah,
that.
yeah.
yeah.
Okay, good to clarify that for sure.
Well, maybe I should say not yet. Right, but but you never know. I violate an NDA, and who knows?
Oh,
Off you go.
yeah.
You'd be
Yeah.
like,
Let me
please send me to Alcatraz.
Yeah. So this, I'll show you this one just because this question comes up a lot.
Okay.
Specifically, here we go. So,
Ah,
you
yes.
know what
It
you're
was
looking at?
the
Ooh.
hole that was dug
Okay.
to escape.
Is
Right?
it
Very
the England
good.
Brothers one?
Very
Is it the
good.
one when they with the paper mache that they filled in?
Ex-
Is that it?
exactly.
Nice.
Very
So,
cool.
but this is about as behind the scenes as you can get because we're in the utility corridor looking into the cell.
Mhm.
Whereas if you're a visitor at Alcatraz, you can look through the bars and see the hole looking into where this picture was taken from. And we, in 3D, I mean, we modeled, among other things, the entire escape route. And it was so,
Oh,
so cool to be in these spaces and get a feel for just what these guys were able to pull off. I mean, it's astonishing.
extraordinarily innovative. Naughty, but very
Yeah,
innovative. They were very,
yeah,
very clever. Very clever.
yeah. And then the nerd in me, when I saw this, just because I spent so much time in civil engineering, anyone who knows anything about concrete and who looks at this photo goes, no wonder they could have, no wonder they could chisel their
Yeah.
way through this wall with spoons and, whatever else they could find, because this is the worst looking concrete I've ever seen.
Oh, absolutely. Wow.
So, which is incidentally one of the reasons the prison closed as a penitentiary within a year after these guys got out, um, because the Department of Corrections just said, Alcatraz needs so many repairs. It's too expensive to operate, so we're just going to shut it down. And I just loved being in here on my knees, going, "Wow, no one gets to see this."
No,
And
absolutely not.
there's rocks and chips there on the ground that are from when these guys were digging their way out.
Oh my
It's
gosh.
it's just it was so cool. And then the
How big is
utility.
that hole? How big is that? I mean, could you squeeze through that?
Uh, Me, probably not.
Wow,
But
that's
there
deep and big.
there are so many stories about that. It has to do with, you remind me of the incredible story about the Battle of Alcatraz, which not many people know about. Um, but there are a couple of movies out there.
Mhm.
Did you know that there was a riot in 1947 on Alcatraz
Yep.
where the inmates took over the cell house? 6 inmates rioted, managed to get their hands on some guns, and there was a battle. The authorities called in the Marines,
Mhm.
and the Marines were mortaring and shelling at the cell house until they wound up putting the riot down. And we got into all of those spaces. Oh gosh, I have to show you this.
Oh, please.
Oh, give me, I
Yeah,
gotta
I
look it up.
actually just recently read about that particular, incident. Yeah. Wow.
Let me find the picture. I'm so
That's
sorry.
that says you bullet holes are still in the walls.
Yes,
I think it's
yes.
funny because when most people think of, I think most people, when they think of Alcatraz, I don't think they associate it being a national park unless you like look
True.
it up.
Mhm.
When you hear Alcatraz, you don't immediately think the National Park Services
Right.
by any means.
Yep. Yeah.
So
So
it's
this one, dun, dun, dun. Let me know when you can see it.
Oh, there it is. Let me bring it up. There we go.
I can see it.
Oh.
This is graffiti. You can see, depending on how good this is showing up, you can see dates, you can see names. This is
Oh my
graffiti
gosh.
left by guards. There's there's graffiti left by the rioters, um, which I can't show you because it's some of the most horrific pornographic stuff you've ever seen. Um, but it's archaeology nevertheless. I mean, you see this date, September 8th, 1959.
Yeah, I saw that. Wow.
Ralph Carvajal, he was a guard. He was on duty. More dates, more names, just, people scribbling because and somebody might be wondering, well, where is this? This is the North Gun Gallery. So at each end of the cell house, there are gun galleries, where was these were the only places where the guards were armed. So the guards who were in the cell house with the inmates were not armed. They just went in there and hoped to come out every day. Well, the reason that it worked is because the guards up in the gun galleries were heavily armed, Tommy guns, rifles, handguns, tear gas, all kinds of things. Anyway, this is the North Gun Gallery where during the Battle of Alcatraz, and this is to your point about how big that escape hole was, is this incredible story I'd never heard before. Is one of the rioters spent, I think it was like 90 days starving himself. So he basically became so skinny. At the same time, another couple of guys are making this tool very clandestinely in the shop that will spread the bars so somebody really skinny can squeeze through and get in the gun gallery and get to the guns and get to the keys. So the story goes, this guy starves himself, and then the night they decide to make their move, he strips naked. They grease him up and they lift him up to the bars of the gun gallery, all very quietly. They spread the bars. This guy squeezes through and attacks the one guard in the gun gallery, and strangles him, my God, with his
Wow.
necktie.
Oh,
And the riot's on. They get guns. They throw the guns down, but then they realize, hey, we're locked in the cell house and there's no way out. But they killed a bunch of guards. It was horrific. But there's bullet holes and damage in the roof of the cell house where the Marines jackhammered holes in the ceiling and dropped hand grenades in on the rioters. I mean, it was completely nuts. And if you're curious about that, there's a couple of interesting movies. They're old, but they're fun. There's one called, I think it's Six Against the Rock. It's kind of cool.
wow.
David Carradine from way back.
Yes, yes,
Oh
yes.
yeah, David Carradine.
So anyway, gosh, where am I? What else?
No, this is great. This is awesome to hear about your experiences there. This is because that's
Uh,
a place that I remember being over at over in San Francisco, looking across at Alcatraz, going, man, I'd love to do the tour. So obviously, when you were there were no tours going on. Or were there still? Was there
oh, there
tours?
were.
Oh,
We
was there? Okay.
pardon me. We had to work as best we could. We had to, not disrupt
Hmm.
the visitors because the island didn't close. So, there was that magic couple of hours between sunup and when the first tourist and staff boat arrived,
Yep.
which is 8:39, something like that, where we had the place to ourselves. But the rest of the time, we had to be very careful, not to ruin somebody's vacation, right? Because
Right. Yeah.
Alcatraz is amazing. It reminded me of being at the Grand Canyon, whereas if you've been to the canyon and you listen, you'll hear 20, 30 different languages, right? Meaning people come
Oh,
from
that's
all over the
amazing.
world, and Alcatraz is the same. So we were really careful, not to screw up a vacation that
I
perhaps somebody would.
imagine you would have enhanced their vacation. I can't imagine that would have
I would
ruined
think
it.
so too.
Would have
That's
been
kind of
like,
what I
"This
was.
is so cool. I was here when they were here doing this stuff." That's how I would have
Yeah.
imagined it.
Well, we we
Uh,
we turned a few heads. I'll show you this one. This one was just fun. I mean, all work and no play, right? Share the screen.
Yeah, this is interesting. Yeah, I would think so too. I would think that that would enhance the experience for me to know who was there.
Mm-hmm. Oh my gosh.
I love that. That's one of the ones I saw on
Yeah,
social media. But yeah, the dueling slam scanners going on.
yeah. So and the other funny subtle thing about this photo is none of the visitors are paying any attention to us, right? We're just a couple of hams, and what the heck is going on here? These are two of the scanners we use
Mhm.
that I've used a lot on properties we've talked about before.
Mhm.
But I just had this vision in my head, and that's my buddy Jeremy on the left. And I said, Jeremy, this is right out of Ghostbusters. This is this is don't cross the streams. So somebody said, oh, pose like it's don't cross the streams and Ghostbusters, and we snapped the picture, and it's probably one of my
That's
favorites.
amazing.
Yeah, that's awesome.
So
That's
Living the
really cool.
dream.
You got to have a little
yeah,
fun while you're working. You just do. I mean, that's the way it is, right?
yeah. Well, especially 3 weeks. I mean, because
Yeah.
the first couple nights you're like, wow, this is the coolest thing I've ever done, and then it becomes sort of normal, and then you start sweating. We actually have to finish this project in 3 weeks, and so anyway, the levity is never far from my world, that is. So yeah, any chance to sort of lighten the mood, you never miss an opportunity. Um, let's see what else I got here. I could show you a video. I
Okay.
probably ought to show you some data.
Yeah, we'll get into that too. And we'll get into a section here. I know quite a few people have been asking the question, and I don't
Mhm.
know how you feel about the paranormal, but a lot of people are asking, and it was one of my questions too. About paranormal experiences while you were there. We don't have to go into that
Um,
yet, but we can as soon as if you feel like
no,
talking about that.
there's
Okay.
no time like the present.
All right.
Yeah. So this is my naivete, right? I literally had no idea until I got on site all of these stories about Alcatraz being one of the most haunted places anywhere.
Mhm.
Like, really? Okay. Well, I guess that makes sense. Penitentiary, a lot of violence, a lot of it took place within the walls, et cetera, et
Yep.
cetera. Okay. Uh, and gosh, how do I set this up? The first thing that comes to my mind is, so I've now, and the team, I know that island really well. I've been in every space that you can physically get into, every building, every tunnel, uh, all of it. And by far the creepiest place on that island, literally like chicken skin, is the hospital,
Oh, really?
which is right out of The Shining. It was
Oh, wow.
I literally didn't like being in there. Um, it was just I didn't hear anything. Nothing happened to me, but it was just like being in there. All I heard were screams
Mm.
because you go down this long corridor, and like on your left, there's the surgery. And I remember saying, God, can you imagine what the doctor at Alcatraz in the 30s, this is before antibiotics, and one of the rangers didn't even blink. He goes, yeah, he was a drunk. Oh,
Oh, yeah.
great,
Yeah.
great. So, and then you go a little further down, and the isolation cells for
Oh, yeah.
the inmates who had mental health issues. It's I I can't say it any better. I didn't like being in there. It was just horrible. You'd think the rubber room, that whole thing.
Mhm.
No, these cells were tile, floor, ceiling, walls, uh, and completely isolated. No windows, no light, no nothing.
Oh,
So if you're confronting demons that I can't imagine, to be
wow.
locked in there and be isolated, and then you turn to your left and there's a shower but it's a stall that's 24 inches by 24 inches with a shower head and a bar door. So they grab you, jam you in there, lock the door, and turn the hoses on you. It's
Oh.
just like, oh my God. Okay. So with that as sort of a setup, one of my guys, my team members, I'll leave his name out of it because I don't want to embarrass him, and he's a dear friend, a retired cop too. He, I have never heard snoring in my life like this guy. Okay. I didn't know any mammal could make sounds like this. And after it was like the second night, it was so horrendous. The rest of the team is like, "Did anybody sleep?" And we're like, "No." We're all just completely shattered. And finally, I had to take him aside and I said, "My friend, I love you, but we're going to have to move you because nobody's sleeping and it's putting the project at risk." And he's a sweetheart of a guy. He's like, "Oh, of course. Yeah, I believe in my snore. I know I snore, da, da, da. But let's find me a place." So we asked the parks and they were, "Oh, we know just the place. And there's even a bed in there." Oh my God. He's going to get an actual bed where you saw that picture of where the rest of us are sleeping.
Yeah.
So where they put him was the mugshot room, which is where, as inmates were being processed, you'd get your mugshot taken.
Mhm.
So the wall, floor, ceiling, everything's painted black so you can process film in the old days. And, the measuring thing is on the wall in there and there's a cot. So my buddy goes in there and he takes all his stuff, hearts and carts of stuff, drones and clothes and food. For whatever reason, he wants all his things with him. Like, okay, so we help him move in, have a great night, see you in the morning, and everybody's off to bed. I'm first up. I come into the office the next morning, and there he is sleeping on the floor, snoring like usual, and all his stuff. So he's brought all his stuff and himself from where he was in the mugshot room back to the office, and he's out cold. Wow, there's got to be a story here. So I wait for him to wake up. I'm like, what happened? And the first words out of his mouth, and he was shaken up. He's like, "I am not sleeping in that room again. I will not go back in there." Wow. Okay. Well, what happened? And he goes, "Somebody upstairs was playing the piano." What?
Playing the piano.
Playing a piano. And he said, and then I heard what sounded like 50, 100, a whole bunch of people stomping around up there.
The
Well,
ghosts were trying to drown his snores out, is what I believe happened. He woke the
right.
ghosts, and they were like,
They were not happy
"We
about
are
it.
going to need to silence this."
Oh my
Somebody
God.
shut this guy up. We can't. Oh, that's brilliant, Janet. Oh, gosh. Anyway, where's the mugshot room? It's right under the hospital.
Ooh.
Oh,
And,
yeah. Oh my
and,
gosh.
oh, half the volunteers there said, half the volunteers and a bunch of Park Service people said, "Oh, yeah, people hear things, see things, things moving around." Uh, and I was dead. I couldn't believe it. And my friend who this happened to, like I said, he's a retired cop. He's been in some scary situations, but he was like, "I'm not going back in there. I'm not sleeping in there. You guys are just gonna have to deal with my snoring." I'm like, "Okay, yeah, no problem." So anyway,
Wow.
that was as near to
Wow.
something odd happening. My story is almost kind of silly in comparison.
Mm.
I walked into the cell house, like call it the first day or two,
Mhm.
and from the control room, I didn't know that there are angled mirrors up high in the cell house that the person opening and closing doors electronically into the cell house from this main desk could see around corners, right? For inmates to keep people safe.
Right.
Anyway, I'm just walking through the main door and I take a left heading for D block and I see this head go by and I near levitated out of my shoes. It's I was in there by myself and I see this head walk by and yeah, that scared the hell out of me. And then oh, it's a mirror and it was me.
Oh.
Okay. Oh, okay. Okay. Yeah. For those insiders who know my story about socks, that cost me another pair of socks.
Oh yeah, the socks. Yes, the brown socks. Yeah, another brown sock moment for Jim.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh
That
my
was nuts.
gosh. Oh yeah. But that can. I mean, I've done a lot of paranormal investigations over the years, and I tell you what, there are times when you do freak yourself out sometimes. I mean, it does happen, but wow. And it harkens back to me when you did the LiDAR, when you were on Expedition Bigfoot and you did the LiDAR work out there and you saw the movement, the shadow figure, or the figure moving across the scan. And I remember how shook up you seemed at that. And that was something you couldn't. I think, did you actually see it or was it all on your scanner? I mean, you saw
No,
something move, right?
I heard it
Oh, you
was
heard it. Okay.
tremendous noise, like somebody broke a tree in half, but didn't see anything until the post processing and saw the data. And yeah, that was I mean, I'm long winded, verbose kind of cat, right? But that was I was freaking out, and the cameras are rolling, and that was as real as that was as real as it seemed.
Wow.
I was like, what in the world is that? Because it looked like a person. It looked like
Yeah.
a humanoid figure. It was
Yep.
just nuts.
Yep. Yeah. Just
So
this weird silhouette moving across in front of you there. Wow. Yeah.
But no
which let me
mirrors, so it was not
No
you.
mirrors. Yeah.
My goodness. Always check
oh,
for mirrors.
I want to show you something. This
All
would
right.
be a good this would be a good segue. Let's show you a picture here. Da, da, da.
There's a good question from Tom Burns. Did your team have a plan to get off the island if things got too sketchy? Was there an
Yeah, yeah.
escape from Alcatraz plan?
Yeah, we had a bunch of phone numbers. Essentially, if anything happened or went bad, it was all about the Coast Guard.
Yeah, yeah.
Meaning somebody gets hurt, somebody freaks out, whatever. If there was a problem, yeah, our lifeline back to the mainland was the Coast Guard after hours.
Wow.
Um,
Yeah.
so if
Good.
you can see what I'm looking at, this is what made me think of it are the two figures that are in this doorway.
Mm-hmm.
And as much as I wish I could tell, I wish I could say with a straight face, these are ghosts. No, they're visitors. So I've used the term when the three of us have chatted before. The term is ghosting when you're doing LiDAR scanning, laser scanning, and this is such a great example that happened on Alcatraz. So these are just two visitors who got caught in the scan while I was scanning. But you reminded me of this one because this is a lot like what that Bigfoot thing looked like. It's clearly
Yep.
humanoid, right? So anyway, which I guess begs the question if I can anticipate somebody wondering out there in the ether. Well, you've been looking through all this data for a couple of months now. Have you seen anything odd in the data, a la that Bigfoot episode? And not yet, not yet. Everything so far is explainable, like this one.
Now it sounds like you are still analyzing the data. You had probably tons
Yeah.
of it to go through, but okay. Yeah.
Yeah. There's the latest count is 4 terabytes. For the nerds out there, that is a ton of data. But the other cool bit about this one is, so for anyone who has been to Alcatraz, this is you can tell by the date, it's quite old, 1857, so pre-Civil War. This is the original drawbridge gate
Oh, wow.
to get
Oh.
onto the original fortress that was on top of the island that the cell house was built on top of. And so every visitor walks through across this drawbridge and through this gate, but they don't know this original sign is up there. And for those of you who might go to Alcatraz in the future, you see that sort of porthole opening on the left.
Mhm.
Inside there is a howitzer, is a cannon
Oh, wow.
to defend this gate. And gosh, against Civil War, so against the Confederates,
Mhm.
any invasion attempt of then the fortress that was on Alcatraz. And it's a full-on drawbridge. It's just cool, but because modern construction abuts right up to this gate, there's only about a 2-foot gap between a wooden building that went up about a century ago that blocks out the view that you see here.
Hmm.
And that's what
Oh,
I love
wow.
about this particular image, is that no one has seen this view in over 100 years.
Wow.
That's incredible.
That is.
I love
And
that.
those two passing visitors have no idea that they're a part of
Right.
this
Part of
image
the data.
either. They'll never know that they're part
Yeah.
of one of the coolest images from the last 100 years of Alcatraz.
But
That's incredible.
yeah,
Yeah.
I love that one. I'll put up a video and I'll just let it
Okay.
loop. Yeah.
All right.
Whoops, not that one. There it is. Let me turn on the loop. Let me share the screen. You'd think after doing this 400 times that I'd get better at it. But it's too many steps. Excuse me.
Now you were talking about and I'm going to put the link. I didn't do it earlier, but I am going to put the link in the description of the show for the New York Times article. You mentioned that. I mean, that's really good. I got an opportunity to read that. So okay, now I got hit up here. Oh, look at
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, this is the lighthouse on Alcatraz, and another view that no one has seen, not the people who built it, because this function of looking at a LiDAR point cloud is aptly named. This function is called X-ray. So you can see through the external scan to the internal scan. And to me, it's just
Now,
one of the coolest things.
the lighthouse is not open to visitors, correct? Like,
That
that's
is that
closed?
That's correct. No one goes up there.
wow.
But my team and I, which was amazing. The view from up there, incredible. But because it's an active Coast Guard lighthouse,
Mhm.
yeah, it's off limits. But it's another great example. I attribute the success of this project to a couple of key things. Oh gosh, that's a terrible pun, but unintentional. One of the most important things that happened was for me to be given the keys to Alcatraz,
Oh, wow.
because when we got there, it was a bit chaotic. Because every door has a lock, there's padlocks and chains. There's access was clearly a problem that became really evident probably on the first day. And on the second day, I went to this amazing woman who's the facility manager there. And I just explained to her what was happening. And she didn't blink. She got out of her chair. She went over to this safe. She opened the safe. She had me sign a piece of paper. And she handed me the master key to Alcatraz and gave me a big smile and just said, "Be careful."
Were you
And,
screaming with excitement on the inside, Pete? Were you having to hold in your screams?
Where have I heard that recently?
screaming. Absolutely. I mean,
You're like, play it
I,
cool. Play it cool.
yeah, yeah. But I can't say there was no poker face. That was,
Wow.
frankly, that was another pair of socks. It was just an amazing,
Collection.
amazing, yeah. So that's one of them. Let me show you
Somebody's
something else.
asking if you know how tall was that lighthouse, roughly.
Oh gosh,
I'm
I'd
terrible with base.
say
Yeah.
150 feet.
Okay. Wow.
Yeah, they were. The guys were just razzing me because I'm the oldest guy in the team and anything but in shape. By the time I got to the top of those stairs, I was, this is great. I just need a minute. I just need a minute.
Come check this out. Look it over here. Oh yeah, yeah.
All right. Project manager dies in the lighthouse on Alcatraz. Yeah.
Uh,
So,
I guess you said that's still being used though, that lighthouse, right? So the stairs are
yes.
okay. They're all good.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep. Yep. I'll show you some stairs. See if I can find this. Another cool story. Just
Yeah,
let me
great exercise. Yeah.
yeah, but that nearly killed me.
Yeah, especially if you have to lug any equipment with you.
That means that you can literally say, I almost died at Alcatraz.
Well,
Let me tell you
we
the
all
story.
we all there's an amazing gift shop, of course, for every
Of course.
imaginable tchotchke in the world. Excuse me, on the island, and we found these cups, these coffee cups, and they say I spent time on Alcatraz, and I'm like,
Ah,
everybody has to have one of these because if boy is that pretty much say it all for us. Let me show you an image here. Oh, there we go.
oh wow. Okay, that's it in the daytime. Okay,
Yeah, so
that's the same.
this,
It's okay. Go ahead.
yeah, this what made me think of this was a similar spiral set of stairs, but these were incredibly dangerous. You can see that's my buddy Jeremy up at the top scanning,
Oh wow.
and he shouldn't have gone up there because these things were rusted and corroded in terrible shape. And um, I'm just glad he got the data, and I'm glad he's still alive. What's interesting about this tower is that it's not real. It was a prop built for the Clint Eastwood movie back in '79.
Oh wow. Really?
Yeah.
No. And they just left
Yep.
it.
Yep. Um, but it's right there on the dock. So when you get off the boat, you'll see this tower, and few people know that. Everybody just assumes it's a prison, and there's a prison, a guard tower.
Right. Yeah.
Well, it's actually Hollywood. Um, and
I'm
that
surprised that
was,
they let them build it.
Yeah.
yeah, um, that was that was a good one.
Was there anything that you were surprised about? Like in your scanning or your experience, anything that you hadn't anticipated?
Yeah, yeah. I mentioned the original fortress. Let me roll this video because I can talk over it. Let me find it. Here it is. Let me loop it. It's a little hard to watch because it goes so fast and it's raw video. I haven't edited it. Present screen. Thanks everybody for your patience. Here we go.
Oh,
So
wow.
this is an early sort of cross-section look at non-cleaned, non-colorized scan data of the entire cell house. And what I might do is try to pause the video It just, yeah, right there.
Oh, wow.
So to your question, Shannon, so I mentioned the original fortress and that the cell house was built on top of.
Hmm.
This is all that's left of what's known as the Citadel, which is the original Civil War fortress that was on Alcatraz. All the
Hmm.
top floors, there's like 4 original floors that were on top of this, of course, are gone, and they built a cell house on top of it. But this is a great look at. You see these 4 sort of spaces here.
Hmm.
These were cells, the dungeon in the Citadel back in the Civil War era, and the surprise for me was, uh, there's a story I don't know why I'm hemming and hawing about this. I feel there are stories there are stories in history that are difficult to tell and to own up to.
Hmm.
But for me, what's worse is not telling them at all. So to that point, there were 19. This is back turn of the century, like early 1900s. There were 19 Hopi Native Americans from Arizona who refused to send their kids to government run boarding schools where they would have had their language beaten out of them, their culture, their
Yeah.
religion, everything. And because those 19 brave guys said, no, these are my kids, not yours, they were locked up in these cells on Alcatraz.
Mm.
And to see the graffiti that they left was
Oh, wow.
a
Yeah.
surprise. It was moving, it was powerful, and, a story that not many people know. And it's, kind of uncomfortable even for me now to tell, but I'll say it again. I think it's worse not to, right?
Yeah.
I
You
agree.
know,
Yeah.
That's one of the stories that has always stuck out most to me is those fathers that the Hopi that were there because I don't ever hear that brought up. So I'm glad that you did make a point to say something about it.
Mm.
yeah, it was, this is a dark place. I mean,
Hmm.
it's fascinating to go to now, but if you go through it into these spaces and a little bit about the history, this was not a good place to be. This was an incredible amount of violence and horror and mental illness and all that other stuff happened here. And I hope that this data can assist in um, the storytelling, both the interesting, the difficult. I mean, all of it, warts and all, right? Because
Hmm.
I think it's important. So
Absolutely.
I agree.
that's an early look. I'm just gonna. I know we're looking at an infinite screen here. I want to
Yep.
show
I already
you.
pulled it down. So, yep.
Oh, okay. Let
Yep.
me show one more.
Yeah. That's what, yeah. Grand Rock said the same thing. 100% stories need to be told, as sad as they may be or sad as they are. Yep. Absolutely.
Yeah, yeah. Whoever that is, I appreciate that
Mm.
uh, support. I couldn't agree more. Let's go here. Oh, I am sharing.
Yeah, you
There
were.
you go,
Yep.
Jeff. Let me rewind this.
Okay. All right. And why is it telling me to remove? Hang on a second. Oh, here.
Yeah.
I know what I need to do right there. There we go.
Ooh.
Get it together on my end over here now.
Can you see it?
Yeah. Yes. Hmm.
Okay, so I'll roll this video. So what you're going to see here is the first look at colorized, cleaned LiDAR data of, let's see, I got to say this right. The drone-based LiDAR of the entire island, which you're looking at now, it might look like a photograph, but it's not. These are actual LiDAR points, billions and billions of them. And then it's going to spin around to this building where you get to go inside the building, somewhat similar to what I just showed you, but it's in color and it's clean and it's pretty cool. It's just a sort of a sneak peek. There's that tower, by the way.
Mhm.
It's just a sneak peek at what the final data set is going to look like.
That's
This
amazing
is
how it can take out apart like that and look right
Yeah.
it
inside.
is absolutely incredible. You are digitally preserving history by
Oh,
doing this.
absolutely.
Yeah. 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 It's thanks, Shannon. It's that speaking for the entire team. That's the part that just feels so good. It's because this data set will serve as a baseline that all future surveys can be measured against for
Right.
change
That's,
detection, right?
Yep.
that's
And that,
incredible.
having our fingerprints on that feels good. That's leaving my kind of legacy. So, yeah.
This is really amazing. I just even
And when
seeing
it's
that truck inside, it's like, oh my God.
yeah, and this is, by the way, I'm going to pause it if I can get it right. That's that right there.
Oh, where those people were in the
Yeah, the ghost. This
yeah,
is the drawbridge. And oh, there's the sign. See it?
yep. Right there. Yeah, I see it. Wow. And that porthole where the howitzer was.
Right. And there's one on the other side as well.
Oh,
So it was like you do back in the day, you didn't want to try to break in here. And then the modern construction, the wooden construction that's on top of it here, this was the rifle range and the pistol range for the guards
mm,
back in the day when it was a penitentiary. So um, it's just uh, it's again these are views of Alcatraz that no one has ever seen ever, and that's the fun part. And when it's done, we'll have all the tunnels and the citadel and the cell house and all of it.
amazing.
It'll all be in there. I'll put one more up just
It's
because I'm
amazing to me, what this technology can do these days. I mean, that's something I know when you and folks, I wanted to bring that up real quick too, is that, Pete has shared with us a LiDAR 101 and photogrammetry 101. That's another video that we did. And it's on there. I'll link that also in the description below. I should have done that already. But anyway, and it takes you through. And again, you're very, very good at explaining this stuff to someone like me who doesn't understand it at all, and take us through all that. But it's simply amazing what this technology can do. I mean, I don't know. I'm just so flabbergasted by being able to look inside the building and see those people that were walking inside the building while you were flying around outside. I I
yeah.
mean, somebody had asked, and I saw this go by, if it can see inside of buildings. I mean, it looks right through people too. I mean, it can.
Well, it can't.
How does
That's
that
that's
work?
that's an interesting point of clarification. So LiDAR, the laser can't see through mass
Okay.
except for a very strange ranch I've been working at, but that's another conversation.
Yeah.
It's just light. It's just infrared laser light.
Okay.
So anything that has mass, like the microphone that it hits, imagine shining a flashlight at this microphone. It can't, there's no light in back of it. It would cast a shadow. Well, it's the same with LiDAR. So the LiDAR sensor is not seeing through the building. What you're seeing is that we scan the attic, we scan the third floor, we scan the
Okay.
second floor,
Okay.
we scan the ground, and then we
Push it
merge
all
all those
together.
scans together to get the result that I
I
just
see.
showed you.
Okay. All right.
Yeah,
Yeah. Thank you for clarifying that. So, all right.
sure, sure, sure.
Wow. That's a different person.
Love you, Jim. I'll show you some drone footage, which this was
Oh yeah,
another
please.
surprise. So let me pause it. Share my screen. Am I still sharing? I am.
Oh, yep, you
Yeah.
are. Infinity and beyond.
There are 1,000 of me now.
You still have to process all of your data to set baseline, but what is the plan for return visits for comparison? Every 5 years? Exact duplication focusing on all structures, beach and land features?
What a amazing question.
That's Burton for you right there. Right?
Wow, great. You are spot on, Burton. Essentially, I'll just make something up. Let's say, because this initially was about sea level rise, let's say there's a problem with a dock. And without the dock, if the dock is at risk, the pier specifically, Alcatraz stops. No visitors. By the way, all fresh water is hauled into the island on a barge. All the sewage and black water is hauled off. So without that pier, it's critical infrastructure, right? So to your question, let's say something is changing at the pier, a crack is expanding, or one of the pier columns is wavering, whatever. So how often, that would be up to some engineer, but to be able to go back and scan whenever you want and overlay it and compare it to the scan data we have, that's incredibly valuable, because then you can not only visually see change, but you can quantify it. So if it's a crack, how wide was that crack when Pete and his team did it in December 23 to today? Write that down, track it. Whoa, it's clearly expanding, and over time it's at this rate, blah, blah, blah. But you're spot on, Burton. That's exactly what change detection, to me, that's in time, probably fundamentally will be the most valuable part of this. I'll call it an asset. All this data is monitoring change over time. But
so you'll be going back several times over the course of the next 20, 30 years.
well, oh God, you know how old I'll be.
Every 5 years, you have to climb the lighthouse.
Yep.
Well, what it means is, maybe anybody out there who wants to get into this line of work, there's that, we're touching on that as one of the opportunities. The buzzword is change detection.
Yep.
So if you're interested in change detection for any asset, any building, anywhere, any physical thing, yeah, it's a lot of opportunity.
Were you able to detect seismic features beneath the island?
Features. It depends on what you mean by features. So there has been a ton of seismic retrofit work done on Alcatraz, so the buildings don't fall down. Because, yeah, Alcatraz, San Francisco, San Andreas Fault, this is a really seismically dynamic environment. The ones I remember specifically are in fact, let me give you a visual. If I can find it.
That's right up
Here.
Burton and Jeremy's, Jeremy Church and Burton Cosgrove. That's right up their alley. They're with Panther Geoscience, and they do seismic surveys where they take and put these explosives out. They did it on Oak Island and places such as that, and they actually record the data of the explosion waves going through the ground and then get a look at what's under the ground. So that's kind of what they do. I was why I said, well, that's Burton, because he's trying to get into that data, crunching all that data that you collect. So
yeah. So can you see what I'm sharing, Jeff?
I can, yes, I'll bring it up right now.
Okay.
There we go. Oh, wow. Look at that.
This is this escape route from the 1962 escape in cross section.
Ooh.
And if you can read the text, that
Oh,
hole
very
in the
well. It's
wall,
pretty blurry. Yeah.
the hole in the
Hole in the
cell
wall.
I see it. Yep. Down in the bottom.
is that photo I shared. And
Yep.
then it's a cross section of the utility corridor. And then you can see there are 3 tiers of cells. And then there's the roof of the cell house where they had their workshop. They built a raft, they built life jackets, paddles over the course of 6 weeks. And then that hole The vent is where they removed that vent over the course of a week, I think, using a drill they manufactured, which is incredible. And they got up onto the roof. So from the escape story, it's just remarkable because if you think about it, first they have to get out of their cells. Then they have to get out of the cell house. Then they have to get off the island. And the fact that they were able to do this and unobserved over the course of like 6 weeks,
Wow, that's crazy.
in a cell house where you can hear everything is just amazing. And the story goes that the way they were able to pull it off was they only did the loud type of work when the band was rehearsing.
Oh, did the band have a piano by any chance?
Oh.
Yes.
Mhm.
So
I
anyway,
was so
so
impressed by their ability to make a life preserver out of their
yeah,
coats is what I
Right.
read.
yeah,
Like that was the moment I was like, good grief, paper mache heads and life preserver coats. That
yeah,
is just next level. Like they were like, we're gonna go all out to get out of
yeah,
here.
yeah.
It's incredible.
So, and
Yeah, go ahead.
sorry, I took a long way to get here, but you see these diagonal beams.
Yes.
These are modern steel beams as part of seismic retrofits
Mm,
that have occurred on the island, so the buildings don't fall down when the earth goes boom.
Oh,
Um, so hopefully that helps a bit. Gosh, I'm reminded you see these numbers in reverse.
oh, yeah.
Um, these are from the original construction. You're looking at you know, the negative versus the positive.
Right.
So
Yep.
when you're in the utility corridor, you can see these spray painted on, and that's from like the 20s.
Oh,
That's
wow.
so people who are in there working, maybe somebody's toilet clogged or whatever,
Mhm.
they'd know what cell they were in front of when you can't tell when you're
Right.
in that corridor because it's dark. Um,
Right. Wow.
so yeah, that's really
Todd
cool.
asked a question. Pete, have you produced any 3D prints from your scans?
Ooh, not yet.
Ah,
Not yet, but I would love to, because that's yeah, it's another way that this data can be repurposed. I would love to have. Let me show you something. See this little tchotchke
oh yeah.
mm-hmm. You come from the gift shop.
in the gift shop,
Yep.
but to have this not artistic but real from the data, and to
Mm.
have it here
That'd
on
be
my desk,
awesome.
I would. Oh, I'd go into debt for something like that. So not yet.
I feel like Lego needs to make the version of Alcatraz based off your scans.
Yep.
I mean,
There
they
you
do it for
go.
other things. That's what you
Yeah.
need to do. Approach Lego and be like, hey,
Great
you can take
idea.
this and make an Alcatraz set. Lots of
Great
people will buy
idea.
it. In exchange, I would like for you to print it 3D for me.
What a great way to raise money. Yeah, yeah. Sell them in the
Yeah,
gift shop and, put the money towards repairs, whatever. Fabulous
that's
idea.
right.
Mhm.
Brilliant.
There you go.
That's amazing. Absolutely amazing. This had to be. I mean, you were out there for 3 weeks and you were going through all of this, and crawling around in these corridors and everything. I mean, you basically were in pretty much every inch of this entire facility to get these scans. This is truly, truly amazing. I mean, I know you and I talked about this a little bit prior to the show, and I had honestly really no idea how much I can. How when do you think you'll be done with the data and getting going through all? Will it ever be done? I mean, that's got to be. I
Wow,
can't
what a
imagine.
great um, well, the post-processing, yeah, it will come to a we'll finish it, and we're probably within a couple weeks, I would say, hopefully. Give me 30 days and I bet we'll be done. But in terms of like Shannon's idea and the idea before that, 3D printing and Lego and ways that the data can be repurposed. Hopefully that never stops, because I probably said this to you before, but in different contexts, talking about different projects. It's this data can be repurposed for literally anything. Like, let's say some hotshot, you know, uh, production company wants to remake the Eastwood film from '79, but make
Mhm.
it new and modern. Well, hey, guess what? You wouldn't have to go to the island to make that movie now. You could green screen it all using this data.
Oh my gosh, that's
Uh,
right.
yep. Which would save the production company millions and millions and millions of dollars. Um, you could, we had a great question about seismic. We could throw it's just physics. We were talking about this with sea level rise. You could throw the physics pertaining to a 7.0 earthquake at this data and see what would happen. You could,
So
uh,
they could
just,
potentially see where they might need to put other support beams, right?
yeah, yeah. Yeah, how
Very
do we keep the
interesting.
place safe and open and to ensure that, it lasts and everybody has great vacation and great experience on the island? Exactly. Um, uh, while we were yammering, I got one more.
All right.
Yeah, right. One more, Pete. Sure. Um, but nobody gets to see this. Um,
Oh wow.
this is on top of the cell house. That's the utility corridor
Ah,
between between let's see, between
that
B
looks like
and
the
C
roof right above them.
and the cell house roof above. Yeah, that's actually me.
Mhm.
Um, and this is where they had their workshop, where they built the rafts, life jackets, all their stuff. And you're like, well, wait a minute, it's bars, and
Mhm.
you can see through the bars. How in the world did they do that? It's because, and this is the craziest. There's so many crazy parts of the story, but they were so Alcatraz was kept meticulously clean, spotless. People were sweeping and mopping all the time. It's a way to keep inmates busy so they don't get into trouble, right?
Right. Mhm.
So the place is spotless all the time. Well, this space, the top of the cell house, needed painting or something. And the escapees went, "Oh, this is our opportunity." And they convinced the guards to let them hang blankets over these bars
Oh, wow.
to keep the dust down.
Oh my
And
gosh.
that's how they got away with it.
Wow. Yep. I have to say that the guys that pulled this escape off, I mean, they were very, very smart. I mean, all that we talked about
Very
what
smart.
they made, their everything that they made, the paper mache heads, the digging in the walls and figuring out a way to get up in there, and then doing all the rafts and everything. Just they were almost like masterminds to be able to put this all together, or at least
They
one or
for
two.
sure were.
Yeah, I mean, that's
Yeah.
incredible to the extent. And we hear and we see about that movie, but it's not like looking at the building like you've shown us here. That's crazy. Absolutely.
And to your point, Jeff, I mean, Frank Morris's IQ was off the charts.
Oh, was it
This
really?
was a smart,
That makes sense because it
smart
was
guy.
creative thinking to
Mm,
be able to do all of that. That was highly intelligent creative thinking, which I suppose oftentimes can make for pretty dangerous criminals. Um,
Yeah.
yeah. Yep.
And the Anglin brothers and Morris,
mhm,
the three of them wound up on Alcatraz for escaping out of other prisons.
mm.
So they were good at this sort of thing.
Thinking it
Uh,
That's
through.
what I read. One of them had escaped from like several prisons,
Mhm.
mhm.
right?
Yeah,
Before he ended up there. And
yeah,
then they've never been found, from my
yeah,
understanding,
Yep.
right? Like
yeah.
they found evidence of where they were told, was it there was supposed to be a fourth person involved with them when they were
Mhm.
escaping, but he wasn't able to go, but he was able to tell them where they were planning on going, and then they found evidence of the Anglin brothers there. So from what we understand, they did make it.
Yeah,
And then
that's
they
what
just
that
were
was.
never
Burton asked that question. Do you think they made it? I think they
they were
did.
just never seen or heard from again. Oh, and then there
No.
was that woman who saw that car that
Yeah,
was stolen that night.
yep.
That's
Yeah, we just
wild
watched
to
that.
think that, like, they might, well, I don't know, could possibly have children. They could be alive, I suppose, but probably might have children out there, grandchildren out there.
Mhm.
We'll
Yeah.
never know.
We'll never know.
That is
Well,
super impressive.
yeah, the cool sort of facts I love about that, the case is still open.
Mhm.
Marshal's office still looking for him. So, but you talk to the Marshal Service, and yeah, they're of the opinion that they didn't make it.
Right.
When I'm asked, I tell you what I've learned about spending 3 weeks on that island, and coming outside that front door every morning, whether good, whether bad, you, regardless of the weather, you can't help but notice the tide and the whirlpools going around Alcatraz Island. You can see them, and God help anybody who tries to swim across that. So
So do you think they didn't make
while
it then?
well, yeah, for me, I hate to be the guy. I hope
No,
they
that's, I
did,
mean,
because I love an underdog, and what a great story that would be. But
well,
but I just remember, I'm eating breakfast and looking out the window and watching the tide just rage in and then rage out. I'm like,
Mm.
anybody who tries to swim in there is out of their mind.
Yeah. And the sharks too. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, yeah. You've seen the video made famous from the security camera on the tourist boat? They're at the dock on Alcatraz, and a great white shark comes out of the water, grabs a seal, and there's blood everywhere. It's pretty dramatic. If
I
you,
have
oh
seen
my gosh, I had no idea. And what
yeah,
time of day was
Google
it?
that. It'll
Was it at night that they escaped?
no. Oh,
No, it
sorry.
was broad
the
daylight.
guys escaped. Yes, yeah.
Yes,
Yes.
it was. Oh,
Yes.
so sharks for sure. Like that would,
Yeah.
yeah, I
But
would have to
if
agree with you then.
Yeah, and
They
here
like
you are,
probably,
with a
they probably did not make
homemade
it.
raft or inflatable of some type, and you're paddling your feet or pushing your feet or whatever. Or I don't know, they had kind of made some kind of paddles too, I guess. But
yep. Yep.
you're gonna look like a bait floating on that water.
Well, and the other piece is that water is cold.
Mhm,
Oh my
Right.
God, it's cold. Ooh.
yeah.
So at night in freezing cold water, sharks, crazy tides, currents, if they made it, wow.
I
Yeah.
Wow.
mean, on the other hand, they also got out of Alcatraz using a paper mache head, a spoon in the wall, and
Yeah.
then like,
Yeah.
so maybe the
Yeah.
odds were in their favor.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
apparently, everything else seemed to work out for him real well, so oh my
Yeah.
gosh, that's
And there's
great.
That's
there's
crazy
some
to think
great,
about.
like History Channel. I think it was just last week, in the last 10 days or so, a new Histories, Mysteries, or something like
Yeah,
that.
we just watched that. Yeah,
The Lawrence Fishburne one.
yeah, Christina
They
and
were
I
talking
just
about
watched
these
that.
theories that no, there's evidence that says they got off and they went to Seattle and they had
Yeah.
help from a guy in a boat, and I love that. There's the storyteller in me is like, God, wouldn't that be amazing if they made it? Um, not a the finest hour for the Marshal Service or the FBI,
No, yeah,
but what an amazing story. But these guys today, they'd be in their 90s.
mhm.
So anyway, love the story. Um,
Could you imagine
uh,
though, an old 90-year-old man telling the story of how he escaped Alcatraz and nobody's
oh,
paying attention to him because they think he's
They're like,
just
"Yeah,
making it
right,
up?
whatever," yeah.
that
Sure. Because he's been using a
that
fake name for so long. They just think
oh,
he's crazy.
Yeah.
yeah.
Man,
Oh, that's crazy
it's
old
wild to
Jim,
think
yeah,
about.
he talks about that stuff all the time as if he was there. Well, what's
funny.
next on the horizon for Pete besides, maybe returning out to a particular I'm hoping we get to see you. We got a show starting up here in a couple of weeks. We're really hoping that we get to see you on that show. Um I'm assuming the answer is yes. I know that to being an insider, you are very active with the insider group, and we appreciate that very much, obviously. So, what's next for Pete Kelsey?
Mm, yeah, gosh, you guys know me. If I have to my first thought is NDAs.
I know, I know, I know.
Um,
I had to throw
um,
that out there.
what's next? I hope that you will see me on some familiar shows as well. I
Oh,
hope. I
good.
hope.
Uh-huh.
Um, what's next that I can talk about? Um, we're getting really close. I hope to be doing a project at Jamestown in Virginia.
You're gonna be right in my woods. Jamestown is, and I've been there when they've dug up some really interesting things. That's
Yeah,
exciting. You come down to Jamestown,
yeah.
I will drive to see you. That is
Please
awesome.
come. Please
Oh,
come.
yeah.
I'm
He's
like, she
always
didn't
ready for
invite me, but I'm here to observe.
it.
No, no, of
Field
course
trip.
you're more than welcome. But yeah, that one is being um developed, I guess is the right word. I'll just be a subcontractor on that one. It's not my project, but very excited about it. Hopefully it'll happen this fall. And it'll be
Cool.
just like Alcatraz. If I get
Oh,
my way, which you never know, we'll do the whole island, everything,
that's
above ground,
amazing.
underground, sonar offshore, all of it. So, fingers crossed on that one. Um,
That's very, very cool.
yeah.
Yes, absolutely, Burton. I agree 100%. Yes. Oh, yeah. So we'll talk offline here a little bit too, Pete, once we get wrapped up here about some things. But again, I have to say too that I haven't reached out and talked to Mr. Bard in a little while, Professor Bard, as I like to call him. But when I was at Phenomicon last year, and folks, if you have no idea what Phenomicon is, it is an absolutely wonderful convention that takes place every year in September out in Vernal, Utah. And Jim Kelgard and Chrissy's here. She's been there too. Quite a few of us have been out there to it, and it is fantastic. And Eric and Pete did a presentation outside of the building, outside of the venue, and they talked about several different things like the indestructible drone or the non-crashable drone, I think it was called the drone that never crashes. But the presentation that you guys did was awesome. And
Wow.
I haven't reached out. I know I talked to you about it before, but I haven't. We're trying to get Eric to join. We'd love to have you both come on and do something like that at that presentation again for us as we get really close to season
Yeah.
5 of Skinwalker Ranch opening up. But so is that something that you think we might be able to pull off to have you guys
Oh,
both come on? And
are you kidding? If I'd be there with bells on.
it
Because
was
yeah, Eric is that was so much fun, and thanks for the kind words. And uh, it literally was fun. I mean, it was good to talk about the gear and but oh gosh,
and we got scanned. All the people that were sitting in the chairs, we all got
yeah,
scanned.
yeah, yeah.
That was-
And I was telling Shannon before we went live here, I was like, "Am I going to see you at Phenomicon? Maybe we can actually meet." I hope so. Shannon and I we both have the same answer. We both want to go, but at this point, neither of us are able to commit yet. But
right.
hope so.
Yeah.
September is just so far away.
Yeah.
But I was telling Pete, I worry there's so much hype around me showing up from people that I worry I'll just be a disappointment. I'll just go into the
Oh, no
corner.
way. No way. Don't even go there. That's not even at
Maybe
all.
I'm only fun when I'm on podcast.
No, I don't.
Maybe
I don't
I'm
buy that
lame in
for a
real
minute.
life.
Yeah, no way, no way. No, it
Shannon,
was
Shannon,
Phenomicon
Shannon.
is an absolutely wonderful event, and I'll be back there again this year. And Jim's buying tacos again for everybody, so I can
That's
show
good
up
enough
there on
reason.
time. But yeah, so in I know there's Christina. She got to meet you and everything out there as well when we were there together. But so that'll be a lot of fun, and I really want to get you and Eric on together. Yeah, you really should, Burton. It's a wonderful event. It really is. And again, I'll talk about the Insider program real quick because it's Skinwalker Ranch. It's skinwalker-ranch.com, their website, and you can become an insider there, and you actually get to participate in investigations by watching cameras and all this kind of stuff, and the group that you get together with, and the Q&As with all of the members. Pete is there quite often in the Q&As as well, talking about things.
That's right.
And you get to
He
see and
pops
hear.
in from Alcatraz. He did that. He popped into chat and spoke with people. And we're
I
like, "What's up,
forgot.
Pete?" And he's like,
Yes.
"I'm at Alcatraz." We're like, "What?"
Oh, I forgot. You're
You
right.
never
I
know.
did. I did.
You never know what's
Oh.
going to happen.
Yeah, you just don't know who you're going to see or where they might be when they pop in. So,
Yeah.
the Insider program is fantastic. Like I said, there's a link for it down below in the description of the show if you want to check it out. They do have a free trial period. You can and do that as well. So it's a lot of fun. But Phenomicon, yeah, I'll be there for sure. Seth is going to be going this year. Looks like with me. So, and I hope Shannon, I hope you get to make it. That would be really awesome to have you there. So I don't know. What do you think? I mean, we're at about an hour and a half. I think that was there anything else you wanted to cover with us on this one? I know we're going to have you back for some more stuff later on.
Well, I'd love to. This is always fun for me. Thank you both. And thanks everybody who's still here with us. That's great. We're all again, my 2 cents about the Insider program is that it's almost like an extended version of this.
Mhm.
It's just a community of
Mhm.
curious, intelligent, insightful folks. It's like I'm to the point now where it's gotten that I don't spend near as much time logged in there as I'd like to. And half the time I do, I'm like, I'm not going to say anything because there's this amazing discussion going on with about physics or astronomy or whatever. And wow, I'm just gonna. So I lurk a lot. I try not to disturb if there's some amazing dialogue going on because I'll show up and say, "Hey, I don't have I don't have anything to say other than I miss you guys," and it's blah 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 blah. So anyway, it's fabulous if you want to get your hands dirty on some of the work that's going on at that crazy piece of real estate.
Yeah, it really is.
Mhm.
And the work that and I have to say the work that you have done there is leaps and bounds. I mean, what you've done from the start when you first went out there and you started working at the ranch and then doing some scans and some camera work to what we saw last season. Um, I mean, your data is an invaluable. I mean, and it just completely blows our minds to see the photogrammetry with things not where they're supposed to be. It throws a whole section for some strange reason off somewhere else. And then the tower and the all and then you in the helicopter up there with the, doing your, strapped and hanging over the side of the helicopter doing your work. I mean, I honestly, I have to say that the things that we've learned, we wouldn't know half of it without you. And I know I'm really putting the butter on right now, but we wouldn't know the half of it
It's
without
true.
you and your data being there. It's absolutely truth. And so
Yeah,
thank you for what you do, and we hope that you get a chance to continue doing it until we figure out what the heck is going on out there at the
yeah.
ranch. So.
Thank you, Jeff. That's wow. That means a lot to me. Thank you. Uh, just wait.
I know. Woo, can't wait. I know there's a lot of people that are fans of the show, and everybody's really looking forward to the new season starting. I think it's going to be around the the 23rd of April or
April
something.
23rd. Yep.
Yeah, the 23rd of
That's
April.
what
So
There's a date?
yeah.
April 23rd.
Yep. Yeah, I got it written down. Skinwalker Ranch
It
number
just got
one.
announced,
Yeah.
I think, like in the last few days.
So
I'm
April
writing this
23rd.
down.
Mark your calendars. Tuesday night. It's going to probably be. We're assuming that Curse of Oak Island will still be going on, so it'll probably be after it again, like it was before, and then move into that 9 o'clock slot once Curse of Oak Island is finished. So, but
Yeah, fun.
yeah,
Fun, fun,
really
fun.
looking forward to that. And of course, we'll be here talking about every single episode all season long, and hopefully we get a lot more. We got a lot more last year. So, all right, folks, they're going to wrap it up here. Thank you so much for watching tonight. We really do appreciate it. Tell your friends and give us a thumbs up if you like the content of the show we did for you tonight. Please give us a thumbs up, and it really helps out a lot. Oh my gosh, B Jones, what a great show! Thanks, Pete, Shannon.
Hey.
Wow, B Jones. Thank you so much. Really appreciate that a whole lot. I really, really do. And B Jones, we got to get you on the show. You got to be my insider. I've been working on her for over a
For
year.
like almost 2 years. It's been almost 2 years.
I know. So we got to get her in Michelle Stratton.
We're gonna have to. I think we're gonna have to trick her. We'll have to lure her into a Discord
We'll
room
come
with
up
the promise of a book
plan.
reading,
Yeah.
but actually it will be this.
Awesome.
All right, gonna wrap it up here. Pete Kelsey, thank you so much. Always an honor to have you on the show. Shannon, again, honored to have you co-hosting with me, and you're going to be here for some more. You're stuck with me now, so
Happy
Thank
to
you
be back.
both.
Happy
You
to
guys
be
are the
back.
coolest.
all right, stick around just a minute, Pete. Thank you, folks, again for being here with us tonight, and we'll let you know Thursday nights are going to be reserved right now for doing some Skinwalker Ranch and some paranormal stuff, UFO, UAP things going on here in the future. So be sure to subscribe to the channel so you know when we got new content coming out. And we'll catch you next time right here on the J Free 906 podcast. Good night, everyone.